Hey y'all, it's January, still the 29th, 2020. Thank you for joining me and I appreciate you. I don't know if you could hear it, but in the distance there's trouble a brewing. There's all sort of sirens going off, right? Emergencies taking place. Right? Perhaps the same could be said for tonight. Alright? We're just gonna dive into the live stream tonight, y'all. I didn't have a chance to scout out a good cover song. Of course, requests are accepted here on this broadcast, but I had time to research one of them cover songs and bring it for the intro today. And that's actually all right, right? So while people actually get word of this broadcast and straggle in here, in the meantime, I figure while we got a little bit of time to kill, I want to explain some stuff, man. It's just developments behind the scenes. Just for in case people are curious out there, and you're not seeing much progress. I would agree. It's not been much progress. Um, I don't necessarily want to throw out excuses, but I've had setbacks. All right, as far as the quality, I would guess, of this broadcast, for example, seeing my face. I know that would be awesome for people. We did make a call out to Bart Fine, actually. We're about to talk about him here on this broadcast, and maybe to him. He might pop in. We did that with Bart Fine, and we do look forward to doing that in the future as well. Taking in phone calls, maybe not necessarily doxing people the way we did last time, but taking in phone calls, taking in live streams, co-live streams, and all sort of stuff, man. Communicating for real. That is on the horizon. I just wanted to point that out. Um, okay, so I do look forward to that. If in fact that were to arise, that's what we're looking to have happen, right? In the meantime, I've been kind of messing around with some other stuff, all right? Before we dive into the live broadcast about all this nitty gritty, all the names that you've seen, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit more as well. We're going to talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. We have some very dear contributors, probably one or two of them going to pop in, let us know what's really popping in the streets, all right? But in the meantime, I want to explain, I've been kind of busy doing some other stuff, man. Like, I guess my life gets kind of hectic. Of course, I have a job, it's a full-time job. It takes some time to do, and I make that money, right? And that affords me luxuries, man, to be honest with you. I mean, if you look at different other places in the world, oh man, it's like, dude, I have a lot. I have a lot compared to also, and I look back at the past few years in particular, and it's like, dude, I have a lot right now, and it's amazing. Absolutely blessed. I don't deserve it, but the thing is, I try my best to maintain it. All right. All right. So, anyways, I got that job. I've had second jobs, but I don't really like second jobs, man, to be honest, because I have to work on your schedule, and it's really, especially if you suck at making schedules, like was my experience with the past particular job that I had. This is the second job that I had to get extra money, all right? Because I have a lot of stuff, but still, it's like, I'm one of those people that they describe on the news who's going from check to check, hand in mouth, or whatever you call it. I do that sort of stuff, so the thing is, I need more money, right? I had this plan to do last year, but I was a little bit late on it. And in fact, right now would be the perfect time to start this plan that I had, right? As far as the year goes, and doing some stuff to get extra money, but it's where it's my own business. It's where it's my own schedule. It's where I get as much money as I feel like getting, right? And I have plans in the works for that. Like, for example, selling produce. You might say, oh, it's not going to make you rich. Obviously, it's not. But selling produce is pretty dang good if you do it on the side, if you know how to do it, if you've got a good location and stuff like that, if you know how to make that money. And trust me, I do. All right, so I'm gonna start selling that produce and into the foreseeable future, probably sometime this year. I do plan to also sell other products, that you would find, say, at a farmer's market. right? And produce. So it'd be like produce, and I'd be a miniature. See, that's my idea. And you could try to steal it. You could try to steal it, but the thing is, man, I wrote the blueprint. I'm the one who's going to do this, and I do this, so I'm going to do it. I'll be a one-man, a little farmer's market, just on the side. I got little plans. I got a location. I got a day set up in my head and stuff. I'm working it all out. I'm looking into the websites for the local area and how I get all the proper permits and licenses. Trust me, you don't want to get shut down. But the thing is, yeah, you got to have all those papers ready. All right, so I'm looking into that, seeing who I had to talk to, setting things up, getting a kind of side business going in that regard. Not only that, but split that time. Not only just do the produce and stuff like that. I've already done it before. Set up shop, be a one-man band, get all the money. Not only that, but have sort of a side landscaping business, all right? You know what I'm saying? That real small stuff, mowing lawns and this and that, trimming hedges or whatnot, all right? Get a little bit of money on that end, all right? And I'll be able to do that because I've been talking to people about a vehicle. It's a whole bunch of mess that I got going on, basically. About to get a vehicle, talking to people about it, so I can snatch that vehicle, right? And then do exactly what I just said. Right? I'll take that vehicle and I'll be able to move around product. I'll be able to go ahead and provide services and stuff like that. And perhaps I might even do that part-time like favor, all that grocery delivery stuff. This is on a personal note, all right? I wanted to hammer this out before we jump into the broadcast. All right, I might do that sort of stuff, whatever I can fit in the schedule, whatever is around my schedule at this point. All right, and I look forward to doing some stuff like that and making investments, all sort of investments. We are going to touch upon the coronavirus because I know a lot of people are talking about it. And certainly, just like every other virus and epidemic, people tend to think about the same things. Number one would be like food and investments like that, food, water, and stuff like that, just in case weird stuff happens and you can't leave your house. Guns, for that matter. And making investments. I'm thinking about food investments. Obviously, if I get heavy into the produce game and the farmer's market game, oh yeah, I'm going to make some food investments. Trust me on that one. I'm going to get all stocked up. And it's not because I'm afraid or anything like that. It's a very good investment. All right, so it's a time for making investments. I feel like probably for everybody right now, it is a time for making some serious investments. For example, right now I'm looking in my apartment, and I know they can't see it. All right, later on when we get the live stream going and stuff, I might show you, but I'm building up a collection of bicycles. Like I'm looking at five different bicycles right now. All right, and I got them for the cheap. Some of the parts are missing on some, I got to work on some, but like 5 bicycles, right? And then I'm gonna turn 2, maybe 3 of them into motorized bicycles, right? And then I'll be balling hard on like motorized bicycles if I want to, and I'll have a vehicle. But just for fun, I'll have these motorized bicycles, and me and 2 other people could mob out if we wanted to down the street. How hard would that look? 3 people rolling out on these motorized bicycles and stuff, man. Wouldn't nobody want to mess with us? All right, of course we'll be strapped down. We're in Texas. But 3 different motorized bicycles, okay? And not only that, go into the motorized bicycle business and stuff like that. I have some aspirations, I guess, or I got some things in the works. May not come to fruition, but that's the direction we're going. See, all this money that I plan to finagle, right? That's going to be used for a bunch of things. I'm going to need extra money, obviously. For a rainy day, make certain investments, such as in food products, such as in like preparedness type stuff. All right, we got that, and then also I got some medical bills that are gonna come home to roost pretty dang soon. For some of y'all who might know out there, I'm gonna have to pay those. All right, this, that, and the third. I'm gonna have to pay so much bills. All right, and I'm already running behind. Like the thing is. I have student loans, for example. I haven't been paying for a while and stuff. I could get on top of that, all right? So that's what I got in the works with those extra job opportunities. I see someone's gotten up in the building. We were just discussing, like, my financial developments into the foreseeable future. You know what I'm saying? I like to build into the future knowing full well that all calamity could burst out at any point. And we are going to talk a little bit about that coronavirus. See if we can get Bart Fine up in here. Because he seems to be something of a foreseer as far as these, what, I don't know if you call them bioweapons, something like that. All right. But at the same time, you still got to build for the future and you got to make some good investments. That'd be my suggestion. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Right? Do all those sort of things. And meanwhile, should be enough money. And we're going to look into it. Should be enough money. If I'm working like this and on my own schedule, so I don't have to run myself damn ragged, should be enough money to upgrade on this broadcast, for example. Like I would get a proper internet connection, right? This internet connection I have is totally booty, or I don't know what the kids say, bums. It's a total bum, right? It's really homeless style. It's like I'm homeless style broadcasting right now. And I know that's why you can't see my face necessarily on YouTube. And maybe you can on D-Live, but I still haven't figured all that out because I've had all these other side things going. I'm getting it ready because the thing is, gotta strike while the iron's hot. And right now is the time for investments. I'm pretty sure of it. Probably across the globe. Right now is the time for investments, for sure. All right, and just so happens that San Antonio, barring a weird disaster, and disasters do happen, San Antonio is looking real good. I don't know about the rest of the country, but San Antonio, although it's getting some cold fronts and it's a little bit cold outside, it's like not hardly cold. The winter has been so dang mild. I don't know if I ever seen a more mild winter in my life. And people talk about this climate change, but the thing is, all I see is better and better and stuff like that. Meaning that might be a very early spring. And, you know, if the weather were to keep nice, maybe it won't. But if it were to keep nice, that's a whole bunch of produce that I have, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and so I would have to start early. I might as well start early because the earlier you start, you get more money, all right? So there's two people up in the room. We're going to go ahead and start with the broadcast, all right? I don't know who's up in there, but I'm going to keep an eye on the comments, see who's up in there. Just to know what is we should exactly dive into first. All right, I'm looking at a list of things. I don't know what's the proper order necessarily. Perhaps coronavirus, right? Everybody's talking about that. I believe. See, here's the thing. I lined up a few videos today for the broadcast, and a number of those videos. Hopefully, I did it correct. I'm not sure, but we're gonna find out. Number of those videos are actually Bart Fine videos, right? I don't know if he's up in a building, but we want to talk about it a little bit, especially tonight. Let's go ahead and highlight this. Bart Fine, just, I guess to be brief, for introductions, even though it shouldn't need no introduction, he's becoming a fixture, not only on this channel, but on InfoWars in particular. Just becoming a fixture, becoming part of that broadcast. I mean, over and over and over again, reappearing, saying some things, saying some similar things. He's got a message. He's been putting it out there. And as far as I can see, much of the recent messages coming from Bart Fine, I was perusing through his channel. Most of the recent messages are in regards to a bio weapon perhaps being used on people, and perhaps, you know, that could be an explanation, a theory, if you will, about what the heck's going on over there in China. And oh man, they're locking down what? How they're locking down who? Everything's turned into a ghost town. It's like, dude, how do you live in China? That's what I'm wondering, right? I mean, and everything is just regular over there? Like, this is regular business? Like, for example, hypothetically, you can lock down a city of 10 million people into a ghost town. You can do that? I can't even imagine that. Certain things similar have kind of happened here in America, to include, if you remember, the Boston incident, all right, that everybody talks about. They did lock down much of Boston, like in pursuit of these dudes who they wound up, you know, silencing in one way or another. But so Bart Fine's been talking about that sort of stuff, and we're gonna take a look at some of the recent calls that Bart Fine's made into InfoWars. It's dang near 10 probably now at this point. So we wanted to put that on blast, but the first thing we're going to put on blast to see if we can play it without buffering. And if it is buffering, I apologize, but it's not a very long video. And we're going to see some of it. And hopefully it's going to be no buffering. But if there is buffering, I might stop it early. And I can tell, I guess, if it's buffering. Anyways, I'm going to play this video. See if we can get the audio correct.
Thank us, thank our reporters, thank reporters we sponsor. White House gets that with deplatforming. They understand what we're doing. And the president thanks the audience here at InfoWars for keeping InfoWars on the air in its critical mission. And we're stepping up to the plate. With your prayers, spreading the word about the broadcast.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I hope I'm not banned off of YouTube because, for some sort of robot to recognize Alex Jones's voice or some sort of robot to recognize Alex Jones's face and totally ban me right now for no reason. I mean, I guess it would be for a reason, but it would be so ridiculous. Anyway.
Articles, videos, and purchasing products at InfoWarsStore.com. We come back, the latest on the coronavirus is definitely shaping up to be a monster. Stay with us.
Coronavirus
when one
monster.
man dies, it's a tragedy. When 10,000 die, it's a statistic. That's what Joe Stalin said, and it's really true. Thousands and thousands have really died. Tens of thousands are clearly infected with the coronavirus. And there's...
I want to stop it real briefly and just say I've heard a lot of people say a lot of different things about this here coronavirus, right? I know there's some people out there right now, probably right now, watching this broadcast right now, and they're like, I don't believe that, Alex Jones, he's getting it over his head, and all this disease stuff, man, it comes and goes, and this virus stuff, and it never, you know what I'm saying, it never melts down the way that they're predicting. And stuff is all fear-mongering. Alex Jones, he's working for this and that and the other. I've heard a lot of different opinions. And I've heard a lot of different opinions coming straight from the InfoWars broadcast, actually. A lot of different various people saying a lot of different things about the possibilities when it comes to this coronavirus. The possibilities. Could it be all tomfoolery and hoaxery from the Chinese? Trying to manipulate us and stuff like that some sort of way. I don't understand. I'm not sure it's a possibility, but I don't understand why they would, if they would exactly necessarily be the motivation. All right, and I want to hear from y'all out there if y'all have some sort of theories. It's not about Alex Jones and, he thinks this is what it is, so this is what we think it is. No, everybody's going to have some theories, and I want to hear them. Got to hear them, all right? Meanwhile, my theory, just to be fair, is, everybody should bolster their immunity. And I'm actually coming off doing some stupid stuff like with kidney stones and bashing my shoulder all up and stuff like that. So I've been on painkillers and this and that. And I'm pretty much getting off of them right about now. Like, I think I'm all right. Still in pain on my shoulder, but I think it's all right. And I've been supplementing. I've been getting my immunity, seeing if I can get my immunity up. And looking forward to exercising and stuff like that. Stuff like that will get your immunity up. Getting into the sunshine. Especially that winter is kind of breaking here in San Antonio. This and that, like getting your immunity up. And you'll notice how the local news will never bring that up or anything like that. Or they might talk about it for a second. Right? That's my theory. Get our immunity up and perhaps close the border, even though we know hypothetically, that's not going to happen. Of course, they're never going to close the border. So whatever. See, that's how disease spreads and stuff from countries to countries. It's open like, insanity and just letting anybody pour through. And they could be sick as hell, man. How many people do we have coming directly from China? A lot of them. And they're already here. The coronavirus, like, for example, I can already understand that the coronavirus is already here. I mean, a lot of people come from China all the time. So it's already here. It takes a while for people to even understand that they have it and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I wager, and I've heard some people say that our immune systems are a little bit better than over there in China. Like, theirs is kind of compromised because of the poverty and stuff like that. And ours is a little bit better, especially if you happen to take care of your immune system and stuff like that. So you'd be able to fight it off. You wouldn't exactly die. It's not going to kill everybody, but it's going to kill a lot of people who are immunodeficient. Anyways.
A multinational cover-up of that going on. I'm going to cover it in great detail next segment, and it's now been confirmed that this coronavirus was being weaponized and studied in labs in the United States, Canada.
I mean, just to stop it right there, I mean, just to put it out, Bill Gates. Obviously, people have been saying about Bill Gates, and so, agree with Alex Jones or don't. People have been talking about Bill Gates and his patent and stuff like that. Oh, is he a hero to save the earth? And he knew, like, he's a fortune teller. He's like, oh, the coronavirus is about to pop up. I need to save the world. No, I doubt it. I doubt it. So he's very much tied to this, and I did want to point that out.
Europe, China, you name it, and that the Chi-Coms got caught stealing it out of labs. And so the big takeaway is, why are all these labs around the world weaponizing viruses, quote, to study them, or, oh, in case it ever mutates, they've got the weaponized virus and they can make a vaccine out of it? Because the cover for bioweapons production is research into countering bioweapons, and that's how Russia, China, the United States, the UK, that's how all these nuclear powers and biological weapon powers have gotten around it, is research. Defense research. It's not defense research, and it's madness. And any pathogen this deadly, you shouldn't be doing it in an underground base, like out of some Resident Evil movie. Well, guess what? They do it in places like the University of Texas in Galveston. Level 4 facilities
looking all
that are not in level 4 containment.
Looking all Ed Buck on this. But I don't believe it's just them. They have been talking about people buying the breaks off of all sort of food prep, like that preparatory food storage type stuff that you can get shipped to your house. They've been just flying off the shelves, right, with or without Infowars, from what I understand. People buying it up because you know how people get. They're like, oh, coronavirus, everything might get shut down. Buy it up. It's a good investment. I don't see why not. But that's with or without Infowars, because Infowars does sell that sort of stuff. But nah, I mean, it's pretty much everybody's freaking out just in the way that people typically freak out. But still, it's still a good investment because you can't really lose, right? I mean, if anything, just eat it and save money, right? So, we wanted to point that out, but that was just Alex Jones. And we also wanted to point out that Bart Fine, before we get on, he's been talking about this for a while. And I want to say that, yes, of course, bad things going to happen. I think we can all agree. It's not going to come from us. Not at all. But these bad things are going to happen probably this year, right? And they've been happening, but it's going to get more exponential, right? And like I've been talking about, some sort of terrorist activity. Couldn't tell you exactly what, but some sort of terrorist activity. And it's going to be very questionable. None of it's going to add up. And the perpetrators, allegedly, are going to be white supremacists who hate Jews and stuff like that. And so we're going to have to crack down on that. All right? You know what I mean? It's going to be all anti-Semitic and stuff like this. And certain laws are going to get passed. Right? During a panic. That's a theory, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen at one point or another, or it's going to be attempted. But there's all sort of different other things that they could do in order to attack people or get people all afraid or get people like depopulated or give people something to be scared of and stuff. All right, and one obvious thing. See, a lot of people veer off into like nuclear bomb. For example, the Cold War and stuff like that. Everybody was all afraid about it and just constantly worried about the nuclear bombs. And certainly, certain people have different theories. Like some people have the theory that nuclear bombs don't exist. They don't even exist, and they're just like a hoax and made up. I feel like they probably do exist. I don't know if they get hyped up, but some sort of big old bombs exist and to drop them on people, and they have happened. And they own the nuclear bombs, but at the same time, it's not very. It wouldn't really benefit a country, and I think every country knows it. If you go nuclear bomb anybody, say America, obviously we're going to nuclear bomb you back, and much harder, and you're going to be wiped into oblivion. And so you already know that. Why would you do that to your whole country? That's everybody's stance, pretty much. That's why nobody does it. All right, so it's not very likely. In that not only do you wreck everybody and kill everybody, but you wreck the whole environment for a while. And you can't even use it, right? So as far as killing people, if you had adversary, stuff like that. You could use a bioweapon, which would be a lot more efficient because you kill all these people, but all the resources that they have up under them are still intact. I mean, hell, the buildings are still intact. If you can, like, clean them down or something like that, you know, like, the infrastructure all be there. And it would be really good for you if you were conquering a land. It's not to say, like, oh, that's what's happening and it's all gonna happen drastically like that necessarily, but it's just to say a bioweapon would be very efficient technically, especially if you weren't necessarily blamed for it. Right? A country could hypothetically conspire to put some bioweapons onto another country in the form of people, just in order to, like, infect them with stuff, and then perhaps claim that it's a big infection happening in their country was not really happening. Hypothetically, they could do it. It's not to say that that's what's happening at all, because I have no idea what's happening. Um, but then again, they wouldn't be able to get blamed for it anyways, and so pretty much people would be dying without recourse. And we see right here that Bart has been talking about it. Let's go to one of these right here and just take a look. This is an example of many examples.
Where I was on just another channel. And me, Bart Fine's another channel.
Oh, it is Bart Fine.
And,
I don't know if the audio is good right now. Hold on one
let's see if
second.
it'll record here. Play.
They didn't come back with a warrant. They shot that dude. He was like in his 60s. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't, but they can't shoot all of us.
That's true. The UN might be able to, though.
Well, I think they're planning to release a bioweapon or something like that. I think we're being distracted. Years ago, I was listening to talk radio, and again, it's not a secret. During the Soviet days, based on testimony from a Soviet defector, they had it was a hybrid smallpox, weaponized smallpox, hybridized with an insect virus. Doctor's testimony. And
Really?
Yeah, they got all kinds of wicked stuff that could wipe out the planet in a couple of days. And I think something like smallpox or something like that.
Well, they might be getting tired of the slow kill, is what you're saying, right? They might just go for something.
Yeah, because if there was a plague or smallpox outbreak, they use it under that excuse. So I think we're kind of being distracted.
Yeah.
Alright, that's the end of that particular video. And we're going to take a look at a couple of other videos, but that's basically the message that I've been hearing. Here's another one with Bart. He's calling on Schroyer, and I don't know if he's talking about the bioweapon in this one, but we're going to take a quick peek at it and see what's said in this video.
How much more can Prince Harry take? And would the royal family take him back if he left Meghan Markle? Ooh. Oh, the tension is just killing. What will we do? All right, let's take a quick call here. Let's go to Bart in Georgia. Go ahead, Bart.
I don't have bad news, you and Alex Jones. Jane Fonda is on her way to Austin. But I have good news for you. Ted Kennedy is driving her to the airport.
Come on, man. Hey, there was a good movie about that. I was actually amazed at the truth that came out. I forget the name of that movie.
But on a more serious note, remember Hanoi Jane when she posed on the cannon? Who? Hanoi Jane, when she went toward a POW camp, a Vietnamese prisoner of war camp where Americans were being held. They cleaned them up, put them out there, and when she went to shake their hands, one of the GI her with Social Security numbers, latitude, longitude, etc. And instead of putting it in her pocket, she handed it over to the Vietnamese commander. Make a long story short, all but one of these men were beaten to death. The one that's telling this story to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I read this in an article in 2002.
Well, you're kind of
Man, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to play that again and reiterate that. I don't know. I still haven't looked into that. That's a little bit before my time and stuff. But if what Bart Fine's saying is true right there, wow, isn't that controversial? I have been hearing that Jane Fonda just slides in and out of the jail whenever she pleases. And isn't that disgusting? It's like, dude, that shouldn't be like I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't keep up with Jane Fonda, but I heard she's been out there protesting and getting arrested every like week or so, or every couple of weeks. And it's like, what the hell's the point? What the hell's the point of that? And then, if the what Bart Fine is saying is accurate, wow, wow, isn't that something? Some people hate America, right? But that wasn't having nothing to do with the coronavirus or bioweapons in particular. I see that Barfine was up in the comments, actually. We got Barfine up in the building. We are honored. Who's insane now? I don't know. I guess it's up for debate. We're about to find out, but one of us is insane, all right? One of these sides are insane. And we're going to hear from Barfine real quick, just this last time on this video. And then we're going to touch upon some other stuff. We got some very important things to discuss before we get up out of here. All right, so let's see. Another Barfine talking to Alex Jones about bioweapons.
So we got Dylan, we got Jeremy, we got Danny, we got Bart, we got Jimmy, we got Chris. Let's go ahead and talk to Bart in Georgia. Bart, thanks for calling and thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex, I just wanted to tell you that you are being live streamed on the Bart Fine channel on YouTube, and I have 2 points to make. I predicted this bioweapons attack when I was on the it was the Alex Jones show with Owen Schroeder about 2 weeks ago, and the Democrats want us to put us into martial law. It's the only way to disarm the people by disabling the Constitution. Number 2, Trump needs to put the military on the borders and stop all flights from China.
You're absolutely right. And that's what Philippines and other areas are doing. That's the first thing we need to do.
All right. You know, sometimes people get onto InfoWars and they lay it down. They have like 3 points or some just bop, bop, bop. They put it all out there and they lay it down real flat. And Alex Jones or whoever's hosting, they can't help but say, yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly correct. Yes, exactly. Whatever you just said, all the way. And the thing is, you could regard Barfine as a dang old genius. At the same time, he seems to be just, I mean, it's very simple. Obviously, it's what you would do. And it's very obvious. Of course, you'd stop the flights and stuff like that. But of course, the flights are not going to get stopped, right? So we live in that kind of world, obviously, and you already know it's the end of the world or something like that. At the end of days, I don't know, the tribulation. We're not going to get too carried away with that particular notion right now, but stuff's going to get all wackadoodle, right? So that's why we're talking about this coronavirus. Like I said, I don't think panicking has ever helped anybody ever in the history of the world. So people can go off and panic if they want, but I would remain calm, especially if you're in America and people ain't dropping dead of the coronavirus. Meanwhile, I would not suggest to disregard your immune system and also certain supplements and lifestyle activities that might bolster your immune system. That's what I would definitely say right now. But we got some other stuff that we need to talk about. There's very interesting things. I did want to touch upon Carla Faith, if you remember, from Colorado, and the lack of progress in that case. I wanted to showcase that. We are going to talk about Sandy Hook because there are some developments in regards to Wolfgang Halb. Some of y'all might know already about that, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to look at an article, and we're also going to get some update about NikCruz. All right, so before we get out of here, we got about 45 minutes max. But before we get out of here, we're going to touch upon all those bases. All right, NikCruz, he has some developments, of course, from Parkland. He has some developments in the works that are actually not really pertaining to the incident in Parkland itself. And we are going to talk about that just a little bit. But first, there's something that I caught today, and it's going to be very breaking news, and you probably didn't hear about it. if I had to wager a guess, you did not hear about this at all, unless you're very much into the news in South Florida. I believe it's South Florida. That's what we're talking about, right? Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure I put the clips right here for us to find. Here it is. All right. This particular story. And there's actually a couple different updates today on it. It's very serious. If you can't handle it, the serious nature of it, I would suggest that you do something else right now, because for a little while we're just going to discuss something of a very serious nature. It's come from South Florida local news. It's WPLG, and I have a subscription just because I like to hear what the heck's going on over there. I got some family over there, for example. I don't really know them or talk to them and stuff, but I do over there in that area. And also, it's just wild. It's wild and crazy. And if I had to say, if you had to relate Texas and Florida, Florida actually does take the cake. It is ridiculous, right? I know wild things happen in Texas, for sure. But Florida is weird and wild, right? Anyways, without further ado, if you haven't seen this, and I bet you haven't, I wanted to take a quick look at it and also share some stuff that obviously the news is not going to talk about with you, but I feel is like deadly serious, and I want to talk about it. So check this out. Breaking news. What's it called? Man who abducted baby boy. Let me get the audio right. Man who abducted baby boy found dead, child missing. Actually, I think that was the second one. No, that was the recent update. I'm sorry, I didn't, I hope I didn't spoiler alert, because there's going to be more details that are very interesting. So we are going to check out both videos, but this was actually the first video of the day concerning it. Alright, so Amber Alert issued. This one says Amber Alert issued after 3 women shot dead. Alright, so just real briefly, the guy on the left that you're seeing right there, they were allegedly accusing him of killing them ladies and then snatching this baby up. So they had an Amber Alert with him. He snatched a baby up. They were all looking for him. Anyways, here's the video.
Right now at noon, a manhunt underway for a father and his newborn baby.
An Amber Alert was issued for the baby after 3 women were found dead in a home in southwest Miami-Dade. Let's go now to Local 10 News reporter Madeline Wright.
She is live right now at a scene with more critical clues authorities really want everybody out there to see. Madeline.
Christy and Janice, cops are worried the baby is in danger. That's why detectives want to find him safe and sound and question his father in connection with the homicide that happened about 4 blocks down the street. Cops remain on scene more than 19 hours after 3 women were murdered. Authorities sent an Amber Alert to cell phones this morning as they searched for 49-year-old Ernesto Caballero, who cops believe abducted his 1-week-old son, Andrew Caballero.
We're asking the assistance of the community to locate him.
The pair disappeared after a triple homicide at their house on Southwest 187th Avenue near Southwest 220th Street, which you can see death inside.
Ernesto Caballero. He's related to the one or all 3 of the victims.
Maybe traveling in a white...
Alright, y'all. I don't know if it's buffering. I don't know if it's buffering right now. Hopefully I can get some feedback. See, I mean, this kind of technology, it's like hobo stuff, man. It's like I'm using a tin can or something like that. If I try to play a video, they're like, oh, it better not be more than 2 minutes. You start buffering, fella. I don't know if it was buffering out there, y'all. Or if you're getting the gist of it, if you saw what was going on, if you didn't see what's going on, let me just say we're looking at it right now. But what happened is 3 ladies, they were found killed up in that neighborhood. And people were like, oh, what the hell, what happened here? And they found that there was supposed to be a baby there. Baby was missing. And they put some 2 and 2 together, and they found that guy with the mustache, he's the father of the baby. They had reason to believe that he was the one who shot up everybody, snatched the baby, and took off. Alright, so that's a pretty serious situation that they had. I don't know if it's going to let me play without buffering, and I don't even know if it is buffering, But over on my end, it's telling me, oh, you got a poor connection. Oh, you're on hobo stuff. Oh, you got trash and can't broadcast. And it's like, you haters hating on me. But like I said, we're going to look into that. See, it keeps buffering, right? Man, it's terrible. I wonder if it's buffering right now. Let me know if it's still buffering right now, or if you can even hear what I'm saying right now. But that's what I noticed, man. It's like, oh man, I try to play this videos for y'all because this is wild stuff. I don't know if you've seen it, but like I said, it's a pretty wild situation. People came up dead, baby came up missing. Breaking news over there in South Florida. And the father is the alleged person who done snatched them up, killed everybody. All right, very serious situation. Yeah, they do, man. They really do. Bart knows what it is, and he knows what it isn't. All right. So, anyways, that was pretty much the gist of it. And basically, they put out an Amber Alert for the guy, for the young child, and they were like, "Oh man, it's this breaking situation. Can we get your help from the public?" All right. And so meanwhile, some time went by. I'm asleep this whole time because I sleep during the day. And so I knew nothing about it until I saw that this happened. There I am. Oh, shoot, it's Philip Boyd. There he is. Man, you know, it's a treat when Philip Boyd is able to drop in because he's deep. He's a pretty deep dude. And he's also very busy, right? And as I'm sure everybody is. I appreciate everybody for coming through and stuff like that. You know, who knows how long we're going to be on YouTube necessarily before we get banned or before we just leave, all right? But I'm always going to cherish these here memories and stuff like that. I think we're really onto something. Meanwhile, I want to play this video. I want to play this video right here. I don't know if it's going to start buffering all over the place. But before I attempt to play it, let me just explain that, okay, developments happened. And in this particular video that I'm going to attempt to play some of it before we start buffering all over the place, they're going to explain that this man, as you can see in the headline, has come up dead, all right? Bar fine is correct, all right? We're going to talk about that in a second. But the man who abducted the baby boy found dead. All right, he found dead, all right? And the child's missing. And if you were to look into the video itself, perhaps you'll have better luck doing it on your own. You can see what the title is. But we're going to attempt to play some of it right now. It's going to explain that they found the man dead. It was so interesting. It's like they don't even give no details. Surely you don't know exactly how the man died. Exactly, but you know some of the details. For example, obviously the question would be, did he shoot himself? Or if we're going to be more... you know, politically correct, was he shot? Did he have gunshot wounds from something? All right, could you give us that detail? But the thing is, they don't give us no detail. They just say, oh, he was found dead. Of what? What? Found dead? And then they say, oh, and the baby's missing. It's like, damn, dude, the baby's missing? Oh, man. Yeah, of course, we need to get to the bottom of it. Like, did this guy even take his baby? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he did. We should get to the bottom of it and find out. Of course, they'll probably be able to use cell phone technology and stuff like that and really narrow down what exactly might have happened. All right, obviously there was communication. If he did drop off a baby somewhere to a person, there would have been probably communication taking place beforehand. Of some sort. It could probably take some investigating. Or maybe the baby perhaps is actually, I don't know why he would take the baby and drop it in the woods or anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. So I look forward to developments of them finding that baby. I actually feel pretty good about them finding that baby. Either that or that baby, perhaps he smuggled it to like a relative. Perhaps he was stealing the baby. For whatever reason. Alright, and we're gonna see while playing some of this video, but you're kind of gathering 3 people were dead, right? Found in the house, and the baby was stolen. Come to find out, that'd be a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. Or in relation to the baby, it would be a great grandmother, a grandmother, and a mother. Alright, those are the people that's found dead. Alright. I wonder how much of this dang video we can play. We got 4 people up in the building. Let me see if I could play a little bit of it. If it starts to look like it's buffering, I'm going to cut it off. And, and I'm going to cry a little bit. But I'm going to see if we could share some of it. Just so you can tell I'm not
But we
making
begin
this
with
up.
developing.
And they're stunned. They are
This guy.
horrified.
Yeah.
So thank you. And family members of the victims have gathered at a home just north of the murder scene. And that's where we find local 10 News reporter Christian De La Rosa. Christian.
And they're stunned. They are horrified. And for the first time, they are identifying the 3 victims. And here's a picture of the 3. They're identifying them as 40-year-old Arletis Garcia, who is the newborn's mother in the blue.
All right, I'm not going to try to push my luck, but see, they're putting a photo of the ladies who were actually killed, and it's regrettable. All right, very unfortunate. I would hate for this to happen. This is terrible. All right, obviously a tragedy. And anybody who says any different, it's like, damn, dude, how disgusting can you be? So you might think that it's fake and all made up. And, you know, I can't. But the thing is, if it was not made up or made up, it's, you know, I tend to believe it's real. It seems very real and typical. Actually, very typical. Thing is, they don't discuss the details of what's going on necessarily. And I don't know the details, but it seems to fit a pattern that I see a lot. It's an overwhelming pattern. And that's why I keep pointing it out. All right, you got these 3 ladies. Now, they just also happen to have 3 different last names. Now, they're related. Grandmother, mother, and daughter. They're related, right? Obviously, you know. But they don't have the same last names. I don't want to jump to conclusions necessarily, because when it comes to Hispanic ladies, you know, from like that kind of culture, their names sometimes they have like 2 last names, and I don't know. Sometimes they interchange them, and so I couldn't say for sure why exactly they all have different last names. But what's something that I can point out, which is fact, is that 3 of these ladies were killed. All right, I don't know if anyone necessarily else was in the house. I hear that there was a 9-year-old daughter who was not involved in this, but I don't know if anybody was also in this house. All right, I don't know that for sure. I want to get some more details, but what we do know for sure is these 3 ladies were killed. All right, and that was probably for a reason. And you're going to note there was no men killed there. There was no grandfather. There was no father. Obviously, the father is the one shooting people. There's no grandfather. There's no great-grandfather there or nothing. Perhaps they all died or something like that. I don't know for sure. But it's just to say that, you know, perhaps these ladies would have fared a little bit better had there been, say, a man in the house over these 3 generations. All right. Maybe there are men. See, I don't know that for sure, but it does fit a pattern. It's like maybe there were men there, but maybe they all went out and they were doing something else, and he ambushed those ladies. Who's to say? It's a world of possibilities. But if we're looking at just being very simplistic, very basic, just as a theory, it's not a fact, but we're going to look for the details to come in. It's that, you know, the lady was giving him problems. It was a newborn baby. The baby's a week old. She's giving him all sort of problems, and he's giving her problems. And back and forth, all right? They have a rocky relationship as described in the news. Actually, they said they had a very rocky relationship, and he's actually a troubled person. Meanwhile, I would like to point out, believe it or not, he was like the owner of a daycare travel type. He owned all sort of school buses, I guess, and was in charge of taking little children back and forth. That was his profession, right? Before all this alleged murder stuff, right? So they're having all sort of problems in regards to this little baby, as you can imagine, because the baby was kidnapped at that point, right? And anyways, it's very typical. A very simple thing would be that she's giving him the shaft over this baby already, because men and women can't get along in this sort of society. Women are trying to dominate over the men to their own demise, but they're actually successful in doing it. and just shafting the men. And these men really, for whatever reason, want to be with their child and stuff like that. And some men totally lose it, which I don't advocate for, but they go into a murderous rage. And I don't advocate for it, but it does happen a lot. So he not only did that, but he realized that the mother was involved. I mean, where is anybody's husband in this scenario? We don't know. But he got mad at the mother and the grandmother. He shot all of them because he probably felt like, and we don't advocate for it, but he probably felt like they were all conspiring against him in order to shut him out of his young son's life. You might say, oh, well, he doesn't have the right to freak out like that. Yeah, I don't endorse it, but something went off in his brain and he couldn't control it no more. When you're playing around with people's children, you got to understand that men really do have connections with their children. I know for generations now, they've been telling us about these deadbeat dads and this and that. And really, that does not seem to be the case. More often than not, it's actually strenuous circumstances between the lady and the man, in which the lady tends to portray herself as a victim the whole time, meanwhile antagonizing that man to no end, and to the point of getting beaten, stuff like that. Am I saying the ladies deserve to get beat? No, hell no. They don't deserve to get beat, right? Lots of times they're asking for it, and I wish that they wouldn't, but literally that's what's happening. Anyway, it's all sort of turmoil. The very simple thing is that he got fed up, shot them up. Perhaps he went and took the baby and gave it to a relative and then took his own life. I don't know. That's hypothetical, who's to say, but hopefully they find this baby. I hope that they find this here baby. And meanwhile, I'm not going to play it right now, or maybe I will play it because it's a very short part at the end of the whole incident in which this guy explains that this family, right, they lost the 3 ladies. He then explains that they want to get the lady, her brother, lives in Cuba, and they want to immigrate him to America. And they even talk about it on the news, and they're like, okay, all these 3 ladies got killed. They have a relative who they want to move to America, and so they're putting in a special request. And it took me a second. I actually had to play it a couple of times because I was like, why is this appropriate? And then I realized it's not appropriate. Like, it has nothing to do with the story in and of itself. But at the end of the little news clip, they talk about how they want to bring in this guy from Cuba, and it has nothing to do with anything. By the way, they still haven't found the baby. They don't know where the baby's at. Who cares about this random relative? But they do bring it up, and so I wanted to play that. Just
the victims,
so
the family is also making a plea, reaching out to Florida Senator Marco Rubio, asking for a special visa to bring a man who is a son, a brother, and an uncle of the victims to the United States from Cuba. His name, Humberto Valdez Gonzalez. That's the very latest here. Back to you.
All right. Man, stop that. Stop.
Right.
All right. So I wanted to play that. And like I said, if you're trying to follow the story, you might think, what does that have to do with the story? It has nothing to do with the story. This person over here is related to these people. It has nothing to do. You have a missing baby on your hands. Why are you even bringing up this guy? It doesn't make any sense. Where's the baby at? But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. If I had to guess, it's like so that they can make some emotional plea for immigrants and stuff like that. For no good reason. It had nothing to do with the story. Meanwhile, there is a missing baby out there. And who knows if they'll ever find a baby. Perhaps, like I said, he dropped it off with the relatives, some sort of master plan. He's like, oh man, if I can't have my son because they're trying to steal my son, he's still going to grow up with my name and he's still going to be part of my lineage and stuff. And what I'll do is he didn't think, but he accidentally killed those ladies. He's going to scare them, but instead it got all crazy, and so he killed them. And then he was like, oh shit, what do I do? But beforehand, he probably set it up to where he's like, dude, I'm going to try and kidnap my son. And I bet you he told somebody. I don't know, hypothetically. He's like, I'm going to kidnap my son, and we're going to run off, and blah, blah, blah. We got connections in Mexico, and we're just going to get out of here. So he tried to kidnap his son. Was not going to work, all right? He realized that he couldn't get out of there because they were going to call the cops, this and that. he was going to get caught up. And he knew that. And he was getting all threatened. He's like, no, hell no. And then he pulls out the gun. He's like, I'm going to kidnap my son, all right? And they're like, yeah, we're going to call the cops on you. He's like, hell no. And then he started blasting him. All right? I don't know that any of this is what happened. But and then he started blasting him. Took the baby and ran. And he left it with a relative that he talked to previously and said, hey, stuff went terribly wrong and stuff like that, but here's my baby, and raise him like he's my son. Tell him about me and let him know I loved him and stuff like that. And he just lost it and then went ahead and took his own life. But I'm not sure if that is the case. They just said he was found dead, and they didn't say any sort of details about it. So we have no idea why this guy's dead. All right, maybe perhaps my whole theory is absolutely wrong, and we don't know, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, okay, we've been taking some time about that, and we do have to talk about, I'm sure a lot of people are interested in, the Parkland thing, but also the Sandy Hook thing. Typically, if people are involved in Parkland, they know a thing or two about Sandy Hook. All right, so I don't know if you got this news, but I'm pretty sure I bookmarked it, right? We're going to jump right to it. Or actually, I don't think I bookmarked that. Here, what might be a little bit easier and make a little bit more sense is this, because I don't think I bookmarked it. But we're going to talk about Sandy Hook. There's recent developments in regards to Wolfgang Halb, if you know who I'm talking about. All right, so let me type it in real quick. Sandy. How do you spell it? How big? There you go. There you go. You might have seen this because it's kind of breaking. And it's one of those situations, very, very typical. You seen a picture right there. See that? It's a recent mugshot. You got a side view, you got the front view. The front view looks a certain kind of way, and we're going to talk about it. All right, but first, notice how it's 2 days ago, 1 day ago. This is very breaking. Let's go to the news tab. I want to show you something. Fox News. See that? That's fake news, by the way, just so that in case you didn't know. Sandy Hook denier arrested in Florida, accused of tormenting victims' families, sharing ID and info. Now, I want to discuss a little bit of this, but before we do, obviously Fox News was not the first one to report on this. I don't think Fox News is ever the first to report on any damn thing, but they went ahead and copied and pasted from whoever did start this, all right? And as you'll note, dozens and dozens of other publications did the exact same. The New York Times, like they typically do. A notorious Sandy Hook tormentor is arrested in Florida. Now, there's some people out here who have heard from How Big and have heard his arguments, and they have a lot of different opinions on him. All right, I'm sure that they have a lot of different opinions, those who know him. But I gotta say, in my personal opinion, How Big, although he might have some beef with Alex Jones, I think it might be a very big miscommunication. And I don't expect it to get resolved, but at the same time, I don't think How Big has ever portrayed himself as a nut job or anything like that. I know you've seen these pictures, and here's the thing, they made sure to get the worst picture that they could possibly get and to plaster it in front of everybody. That's why everybody's going to use the same thumbnail. All right, because it's made to make him look like he's totally nutballs insane. All right, the lighting and everything. And of course, he's probably traumatized, more than likely, because just to be real brief, before we read one of these articles and get a taste of it, they're probably trying to incriminate the crap out of him over some sort of BS charge, which might leave you looking kind of traumatized in your face, especially if you're 73 years old and your whole career is rife with credibility. All right, up until a certain point where people ask you to investigate this school shooting and you can't do it. All right, because they won't let you do it or ask any sort of questions. Some sort of banging going down there. Some sort of banging going down on the first floor, and I wonder why they're banging. I hope it's not an emergency. But anyways, okay. So Sandy Hook denier charged with illegally possessing ID of victim's dad. And that's a basic brief synopsis of what they're going to be talking about here in these publications. Again, Sandy Hook denier who harassed parent, a shooting victim arrested, authorities say. Same thumbnail over and over, copied and pasted dozens of times between like a day. We're not gonna look at how many times it was copied and pasted, but it was a lot. All right, let's see what Fox News has to say about it, just real briefly. Of course, we're not going to read the whole article, but I want to get a little bit of a taste here from FoxNews.com. All right, we're talking about Steven Sorace. He went ahead and he laid it on down for us. A Florida man infamous for his Sandy Hook conspiracy theories was arrested Monday after being accused of tormenting the families of victims who died in the 2012 elementary school shooting in Connecticut. All right, just real briefly, Wolfgang Halb, 73, was accused of spreading the personal information of Leonard Posner, whose 6-year-old son Noah died in the shooting. He was arrested in Sorrento, Florida, and charged with unlawful possession of another person's identification, according to the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Now, I don't know what exactly they mean by that. How in the world he came across his identification and would go ahead and spread it around the internet. In fact, knowing Wolfgang Halbig's character, I bet you he didn't do that. And if he did somehow, for some reason, do it, it would be under extenuating circumstances. And therefore, it would beg the question as to what is the context of this incident. Of course, they're not going to go over like what led up to this incident, but they are going to talk about it. They are going to make him look a certain kind of way. They are going to say he's a denier and stuff like that. Meanwhile, they're putting him on blast, right? We're headlong into an era in which people are realizing that not only is the news lying about certain things, but the news basically lying about everything. People are slowly realizing that, and they're reverse engineering it. A lot of people, they were used to just thinking the news was real, but it's not real. They're realizing it's just based on true events, and it's skewed a certain kind of way. All right, so they're putting Halbig on blast. They're saying he's a nutball and a nut job. Meanwhile, they're going to inevitably create more people who are fans of Halbig from this. There's no other way that's going to happen. He's going to become more popular. He's going to become more heard of in an underground sense, yes, but he's getting only more exposure from this. They don't realize what they're doing. They're wanting to smear him and incriminate him for everybody, but anybody with any sense is going to really, really look into it. And although Wolfgang Halbig has been censored in a lot of ways from the internet, different various ways, people are still going to find Wolfgang Halbig, and they're still going to hear him out, and they're going to see whether or not what you're saying is correct, and I bet you it ain't, right? And he's going to get more exposure. Basically, y'all are doing the exact opposite of what you're trying to do by trying to incriminate Wolfgang Halbig all over the place, right? And you're too dumb to even know it. And that's what we're looking at right now, right? I just wanted to point that out. But we got some other stuff. And actually, we got to wind it down, y'all. So I do want to hear from y'all in the comments what it is that we might touch upon as we're winding it down. Got about 5-10 minutes. But we also do want to talk about NikCruz. And shoot, I don't even know if we're going to have time to discuss Carla Faith. As far as Colorado, that whole baby basement incident, if you will. But as we're winding it down, we are going to take closer and closer looks into the developments with NikCruz and Parkland, because eventually they are going to start getting into that trial. And it's going to take a long time, right? But right now, what's in the news right now is NikCruz appears in court regarding jail guard attack. All right, and of course it's just copied and pasted like everything else. Florida school shooting defendant in court on deputy attack. And the thing is, for those people who know, we're following along with this case, they're actually talking about an incident that occurred months and months ago, in which allegedly NikCruz attacked this jail guard for no reason. He was acting bad and decided to try and take this guy's taser and taser him with it or something. All right, he attacked this jail guard allegedly, and we want to read a little bit about it before we get out of here. Parkland school shooting defendant in court on deputy attack. All right, just in case if you hadn't heard, confessed Parkland shooter NikCruz back in court on jail deputy assault charges. Just in case you hadn't heard, witnesses trauma discussed during first hearing of the year. Blah blah blah. NikCruz faces assault charges attacking corrections deputy. All right, so let's just read a little part of this. Let's get a little taste before we get out of here. We're not going to have time for all this, but Hat Silvella, who's a reporter, is going to go ahead and lay it down real fast. Parkland school shooter NikCruz was back in court Monday regarding a separate case in which he's accused of attacking a jail guard. Cruz is charged with 4 criminal counts stemming from his alleged attack of the guard in November of 2018. And it's interesting the words that they use. Alleged attack. Alright. You figure they would have gotten to the bottom of it by now, what exactly happened that day, but it almost seems like they still don't know. Authorities say Cruz punched Sergeant Ray Beltran, wrestling him to the ground and taking his stun gun. And as you can imagine, just like in high schools, that all these jails they had to be recorded. I mean, pretty much you would figure every square inch or every important part of the jail would be under camera surveillance, right? So you'd see lead-ups, you would see context, and so it just has us wondering about the video, right? So the defendant, he lunges at the sergeant, he hits the sergeant, he pulls the sergeant, he pulls him onto the floor, and then eventually, during the struggle, attempts to remove a taser that was strapped onto the sergeant's side, prosecutor Maria Schneider said. So if what they're saying is true, you're going to see NikCruz on footage approaching the officer in a certain kind of way. Maybe he's not in a threatening manner approaching the officer, and sneak attacks him and does all this stuff. He would have to sneak attack the officer. You would be able to clearly see the context on the video footage had there been any footage. You would assume that there is footage. Can we ever see it? Thing is, you're talking about this story for some reason. I don't know why you're discussing it with the public, but you deemed it newsworthy. Meanwhile, where is the footage? Wouldn't you clearly see what happened? Probably, right? The public defender who represents Cruz is searching for video evidence of the incident. Wow. Yeah, I guess we don't have to read no more of that article, do we? We don't really have to read any further in the article, in that this happened months and months ago, and you're searching for the footage as of a couple of days ago. Searching for it? Kind of reminds you of something? Yeah, it kind of reminds you of the actual incident took place in Parkland, in which y'all still, I don't know how many years you're going to be searching for the footage or pretending that the footage does not exist. But it's very similar. It's very similar in that y'all are just feigning total and complete incompetence, and I don't even buy it. Not at all. But we do have to get out of here. All right, so we can't talk about this last situation too much. All right, but just to close out this session, take a look at the comments. I want to read this. In 2012, I was living in the Philippines in a failed attempt to drink myself to death. That's why I'm not updated about Sandy Hook. Well, Sandy Hook was, that was a long time ago. I only loosely kept up with it. Wow. I don't know what's going on with that, but hey, we are unbannable, but we are deletable. That is true. That is very true. I don't know even what we're talking about in the comment section. All right, but let's go real quick to end out the broadcast to this bookmark. Let's see, it should be down here at the bottom. Here you go. See, this is an old news article. Alright, I'll have you know, as far as developments go, in this case, there aren't hardly any, but daycare owner and employees make court appearances. This is an old article. It's from January the 2nd, 2020. There aren't many developments, right? And I don't know if we're even going to play the video, right, because it'll be buffering all over the place, but you can go to this if you wanted. and see that they do have a video. I think you'll find it very interesting of the various ladies. You got Carla Faith, you got Christina Swager, you got Caitlin Nelson, and you can see them appearing in court. And if you go there, you're going to see that these people look deranged. I mean, straight up and down. Look, 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 look. All right, they look like some sideshow freaks. All right, obviously. And they're walking in the court and stuff like that. Meanwhile, everything's swept under the rug. We're going to bring it up. These people obviously look like freaks. One of them is obviously gone off methamphetamines, and the other two probably dabble. All right. Stuff like that going on in a secret basement that everybody denied they even had a basement. They're keeping little toddlers down there. That basement sincerely needs to be investigated for tunnels and everything else. All right. You need to find out about this basement. Meanwhile, it's all being swept under the rug, and Carla Faith and her associates are being charged with misdemeanor child abuses. Every last one of them. Misdemeanor child abuse charges are not there. All right. Carla Faith and Swager, for example, are being charged with, quote, felonies for, quote, lying to the police. And as you can imagine, that's going to be a little tap on their wrist. Nation carrying on and doing all this sort of stuff above the law. Meanwhile, the news could easily sensationalize any of this if they wanted to, and they would get mad ratings if they just sensationalized it or even ponder the possibilities. But they're not going to. They're just going to barely bring it up. And, oh, this is not a big problem because who the hell cares about babies at all? And who gives a damn about secret basements and people all strung out on methamphetamines and all sort of dirty soiled diapers and all the children going hungry and all them being tormented in a secret basement on day after day after day after day after day after day.